Splatoon has had a lot of weapons throughout the history of the series, and Nintendo, the maker of this franchise, can typically forget some of these weapons from the past. These weapons and Nintendo have not had the best experiences with each other, and can end up being totally forgotten by the community and them. In this video, we're going to be looking at all of these weapons, so stay tuned to hear about the history of these forgotten Splatoon weapons. To start off this video, we need to look back in time when the Splatoon 1 2.7.0 update was released. This update added the Wasabi Splatter Shot, Tempered Dynamo Roller, Refurbished Mini Splatling, and the Berry Splatter Shot Pro. This update added more weapons, but those returned in Splatoon 2. These weapons stayed in Splatoon 1, and later got replaced by something else we'll get to later in this video you're watching. But for some quick context about these weapons, these were totally different branded weapons from your typical custom, Neo, Deco brands, and have just been forgotten by Nintendo. It's a very slim chance that they'll come back unless Nintendo does a whole 180 on us. Now, let's go over a totally different weapon concept that was forgotten instead of a forgotten weapon kit, the E-Liter 3K. This weapon never returned, ever, and there's a good reason why. This was the old version of the E-Liter 4K, so this is pretty much just a rebranded weapon. But since it was still called the E-Liter 3K back in Splatoon 1, I count this E-Liter variant as forgotten, as it was never seen again. Now, let's go over something a little bit easier to understand. Back in the 2.8.0 update for Splatoon 1, added the Bento Splat Charger and Scope variant, and the Koro Splat Roller. Once again, they did add more weapons than just that, but those weapons have returned before. Now the Bento Charger, I don't know how they forgot that. Maybe they just didn't want to add back the Bento brand to the game. But for the Koro Roller, my theory is that they didn't want to promote Koro anymore, since that was a big thing back in Splatoon 1. So just like they did with the clothing, they left the roller along with it. Now I'm gonna go over a weapon that kinda had the same fate as the E-Liter 3K, but not exactly. And that weapon would be the Bento Splat Charger. You had to unlock this weapon by getting a very specific requirement. You had to beat the Octo Nozzle from Splatoon 1. I feel like they forgot this was because they didn't want to add back another different brand, and the requirement was just too specific. So that's my theory on why they didn't want to add it. Our last weapon related to Splatoon 1 had almost the exact fate as the 3K, and that's the Dual Squelcher. This was replaced with the Dually Squelchers in Splatoon 2. This one kinda makes a lot of sense though. Since they wanted to make more weapons for the Dually weapon class, they most likely wanted to rebrand the concept from Splatoon 1 that had Dual in the name, so they came up with the Dually Squelchers. That concept is a way better version of the Dual Squelcher anyway, so since it's still a Splatoon 1 exclusive, it made the list. Kinda sad to see some of these weapons get replaced, but the past is the past. Okay, now that I've covered all the lost Splatoon 1 weapons, now it's time to go over the weapons that have either returned from Splatoon 1 and the new concepts from Splatoon 2 that have been forgotten. Let's start with the 4.6.0 update, as that added a lot of forgotten weapons by Nintendo. It's a long list, so get ready. The Tento Camo Umbrella, Sploosh-O-Matic 7, Soda Slosher, Permanent Ink Brush, NZAP 83, Heavy Splatling Remix, Grim Rage Blaster, Fresh Squiffer, Clear Dapple Doolies, Bamboozler MK3, Aerospray PG, and the Cherry H3 Nozzle Nose. All of these weapons have never returned, and there's no real explanation for them. It just seems like Nintendo was just too lazy to add third kits to Splatoon 3, so it's a very high chance that these don't come back. Next, let's look at the Firefin Splat Charger, and I'm gonna make this section quick. This might have got replaced for the Z plus F brand. Since this was a new brand, Nintendo most likely wanted to make a weapon themed about it, so it's not coming back. Lastly, let's look at something that will also never come back, and that's the entire Kenza collection. This was split up into 4 waves of different weapon kits and reskins, yet there's just no chance they're coming back. Especially since there is a second kit for all of these weapons. Not like we want to be reminded of Kenza Splatter Shot or Kenza 52 Gal anyway. And that's all the forgotten Splatoon weapons. To me, it would have been nice if we could at least get weapon skins for all this stuff. That would be pretty cool. If you like what you saw in this video and want to see more from me, subscribe.